Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a best of 5 series of top level StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Protoss versus Zerg that was recently played at the Esports World Cup. And this particular series is considered to be the very best series of the entire tournament. Now you won't be all too surprised to learn that the man right here in the bottom right corner, playing with the blue Zerg drones, he is none other than Serral. His opponent, though, in the opposite corner, playing with the red Protoss pieces. The #1 Protoss in the world. I don't think you're going to be all too surprised either to learn that this is none other than herO. So, I've already casted the grand finals. That one, I mean, I don't really want to spoil it in case you haven't seen it yet, but it was relatively one-sided. There was no doubt, yeah, there was... okay, no, I'm not going to talk about it in case you haven't seen it yet. If you haven't, though, I'll post a link down below the description of this one, because it's a fun series to watch. It's obviously for the lion's share of, well, $1 million, right? It's for the title of a world champion of StarCraft 2, so one of the most prestigious series out there, but also, yeah, incredibly one-sided. Which I really didn't expect going into it, to be honest. I actually expected that series to go very differently than it ultimately ended up going down. Either way, this is a match that I haven't seen yet, but I'm very excited to find out exactly what ended up happening. So, again, I wasn't necessarily one of the commentators for the Esports World Cup. I was the StarCraft 2 expert at the EWC mainstream. So, a little bit different, a lot more of a casual audience. So, most of my time talking StarCraft was going over the basics and making sure that everybody sort of understood what was going on. It's pretty clear that if you have a football game, right? So EAFC in our case, if there's an esports event happening for Call of Duty, for example, as well, people don't really need much of an introduction because everybody kind of understands how Call of Duty works. Everybody understands how virtual football works as well. But it turns out StarCraft 2 is very complex because it's funny because I've been playing this game for such a long time that everything just seems very obvious to me, but yeah, it's one of those things where if you've never seen it before and you're trying to get into it for the very first time, it can be extremely overwhelming. So, long story short, I did see some of the games. I did see pretty much all of the results. I do know ends up winning this particular series too, but I haven't really had a chance to dive into any of the games in depth. So, it's going to be fun to go ahead and do that over the next couple of weeks. Alrighty. So, herO is going to go for a Stargate opener. This is a very curious second pylon positioning. This is herO in a nutshell. So one very important thing to note from herO is that at the beginning of the year, I got to cast herO pretty much every single week. We were always looking at herO's games. There were always many herO replays available. But about a month or two ago, herO decided to not play in basically anything anymore. Dark was the one playing in everything still, because that's what this is what Dark does, but herO decided to essentially call it quits for the smaller online tournaments, and he really focused on this event in particular. Now, he ended up, of course, doing extremely well. Certainly very impressed with the way that he performed at this particular event, but I think Serral over here is also a little bit confused as to what's going on. Pylon in the wall-off over here is a bit funky. We rarely see that from anybody other than herO. And then the second pylon hiding over on the left side. Lucky here for the Zerg, I guess he will still lose the Overlord to a flying unit, so now he knows what he's going up against, but I can imagine that this is already a bit of a tricky game right now for Serral to read, because what in the world is going to be happening after this? Well, at least the Zergling immediately scouts the timing of the third Nexus. It's a Void Ray into an Oracle. I always feel the Void Ray openers in general are relatively weak in comparison, but it makes it very difficult for the Zerg to know what's going on, right? So the follow-up right now for the Zerg is incredibly hard to read. It could indeed be a Twilight Council, it could indeed be Oracles. We've seen herO play a wide variety of build orders, and that's what the Void Ray is very good at. It's not necessarily the strongest build. If StarCraft 2 was a spreadsheet, right, it wouldn't really come out as the optimal way to play, but it's really difficult right now for the Zerg player here to figure out exactly what the follow-up here from herO is going to be. Alrighty, so we have one Oracle. It's one Void Ray, one Oracle. Into a quick Twilight Council together with a Forge. So the Forge immediately starts up the +1 ground attacks and then also straight into Blink. I actually sort of assumed that this was going to be either Charge or Glaives. But that's not what we've got here at all. This is herO just going straight into the Blink upgrade. So he immediately wants to go into Stalkers. Now, obviously, early game Stargate into Stalkers is not weird. We see that in basically every single Protoss versus Zerg game. But the way in which herO is getting here is a bit funky. Normally, right? In most of the games I've been casting as of late, it seems absolutely critical for Protoss to deal early game damage with the Oracles and with the Adepts. And in this particular match, there have been 0 worker kills. I'm a little bit afraid that with an opener like this, Serral is gonna just get extremely far ahead. The main thing, I guess, for Serral here that's quite scary is that he doesn't know exactly what he's going up against because of that Void Ray. But Serral has been droning aggressively. He's gonna finish droning here for 3 bases very soon. He's been forced to make a couple of units, maybe a few more than he ordinarily would have been making, but he's still been reading this game as well as he really could have. Only 8 Zerglings at this point and 3 Roaches, morphing one of them into a Ravager right now in case he needs to pop force fields. He doesn't really know if this is going to be like an Immortal Sentry attack, for example, on the back of this, but I feel like everything here is A-okay for Serral. Because the very first attack, that will be coming across is going to be with a bunch of Blink Stalker. I don't think he's all too worried about that, but it will be a Spire follow-up here for Serral. 4th hatchery for the Zerg is also building at the 6 o'clock position, rather than the much safer location over here. Curious as to why he decided to build it over in that location. I think, by the way, that Serral should have enough against this, but maybe I'm misreading it a little bit too. Judging by the fact, though, that he managed to get up to 3 base saturation, he can now just focus on, well, unit production. And as long as he focuses on just making a bunch of stuff, he should be A-okay. The main problem, I guess, with the Protoss player attacking here is that Serral is not going to be able to save up a lot of resources to try and make a ton of mutas all in one go. I want to believe in the power of the Stalker, but the way that this is lining up right now, it feels to me like this is not quite the best way to open up as Protoss. But one thing to note, I guess, is that this could also be him not just telling a story for this particular game right over here, but also for the remainder of this series. Keep in mind that this is a best of 5. And there's a good chance herO is going to open up Void Ray again, for example, in game number 2, and then transition towards, I don't know, Glaive the Depths or another Stargate or whatever else, right? And it may just bait Serral into a bit of a false sense of security. Anyways, you can see it all reflected right now, though, in the supply counts. This is usually what happens. Zerg just starts outgrowing the Protoss pretty aggressively. Serral's got vision over any of the potential 4th base locations. He will see that a couple units are heading on over in that direction. Mutas, by the way, are coming up. We do have the Oracle trying to just deal damage wherever he can. And he gets, I think, his 2nd Oracle right now. The Mutas will immediately be used to go after the Prism. That's going to shut all of this down for good. And it also is going to force out a bunch of Photon Cannons on the other side of the map. So Photon Cannons indeed will be building, I would imagine, in every single mineral line. Yeah, indeed, to try and make defending against the Mutas a little bit easier. I don't think I love this opener here from herO. No, if I'm being very honest, I don't think I like this all too much. Ultimately, what this comes down to is, yes, there's been a lot of damage as far as Zergling kills go and whatnot, but Serral has effectively been free to just drone wherever he likes, and he was safe in essentially every regard. What Serral could have done was just drone straight to 66. He didn't know that that would have been possible with this particular opener here. But I think overall, oh, the Templar. Okay, well, he does morph them into Archons. Still though, Storm is researching, and without any energy on those Templar, it's not going to be that easy. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is the type of opener that Serral will be happy to play against. It's been a little bit of a guessing game for the Zerg, but ultimately, he's now maxed out. He's going to go into a Hive, and he's going to go into a Lurker Den. Always nice, by the way, casting a Zerg versus Protoss with Terran music in the background. Alright, well, at least this is nice here for herO. I guess the one thing I do quite like here for herO is that he can't really be messed with very much. The 4th base is very tucked away on this particular map. And I don't think Serral's really going to be able to do much until Lurkers are out. So the Lurkers will have their upgrades in a few minutes from now. Obviously, it requires a Hive. But I'm assuming we're gonna see the ranged upgrade on those lurkers immediately, and then followed as well by the speed burrow. Okay. Yeah, so all the roads do ultimately lead, though, to a maxed out Protoss player who's just been a little bit behind economically. I mean, when I say I don't really like the early game here all too much from herO, I don't think it's a disaster by any stretch of the imagination. It's just him trying to sell a story and it not really working out all too well. That is, by the way, one of the strengths of Serral. Somehow, some way, the man always seems to be making the right choices when he doesn't have all of the scouting intel that he's looking for. A roach push will be coming up. Now, I love that stasis ward here. That stasis is really nice. The Art Templar available, and I think the Stalker count is plenty big as well to push all of this away. But this is going to give a bunch of free kills here. I would imagine that the Stalkers are going to try and grab some of those units as they go their way back home, although he's just going to try and go after the retreating roaches instead. Yeah, so it actually means that those guys in stasis, they are going to be able to go back home. +1 flyer attacks coming up. +1 air weapons for the Protoss. We have a second cybernetic score. We already saw additional Stargates building. There it is. And then a fleet beacon is also done. So herO just playing the big macro game here. Now again, I haven't seen a lot of the games up close. But I know there were a lot of people on the internet raving about the fact that herO was not playing a very timing attack focused style. He wasn't going for a lot of tricks, but he was going for a lot of just straight up macro games as Protoss, which is funny because that's what Terrans and Zergs do all the time. Protoss is usually expected to play a little bit more tricksy. It's pretty neat actually to see herO just playing straight up StarCraft 2 and not really too concerned about attacking the opponent before maxing out or trying to go for a timing attack or dealing early game damage. No, he's actually just playing straightforward StarCraft 2. Now this Zealot run by is on a one-way trip, I'm afraid. They're stuck between multiple locations, but at the same time there is a push as well over here. There are a bunch of Zealots in the bottom left-hand corner. This hatchery, by the way, not cancelled but killed. Serral needs to be in the right location at the right time. Storms, can we see some storms maybe in the mineral line? That would be really lovely. He's still trying to see if he can kill the hatchery itself. That stasis ward is incredible. Okay. Zealots in the bottom left, though, got cleaned up. And luckily for the Zerg player, this hatchery also stays alive. But it's pretty clear here. The herO, yeah, needs to be respected. He's going to follow this up right now with a Mama ship. He's going to go into triple carrier production. There's a Dark Shrine about halfway done. Not bad whatsoever. A recall, though, is going to be used on some of this army. And that means that the roaches will have to go back home. Nidus network coming up. Keep in mind, though, that Serral at this point doesn't yet know about... No, actually, never mind. He saw the structures as they were being built. Okay, well, the Stalkers ultimately, the ones that were left behind and that didn't get a recalled, they managed to get the kill on the hatch after most of those lurkers were distracted by moving over to the bottom left. Serral does know about the fact that there's a Stargate transition coming up, but he doesn't really have a ton of corruptors or anything like that ready to go yet. This is actually lovely play here from herO. Yeah, maybe just the way that he opened up is confusing me a bit, because we are so used to Protoss as being aggressive in the early game to try and slow down the Zerg in whatever way they need to, but maybe herO has figured out a way to just, well, sell the story that he can be aggressive, so Zerg better make some units, but then not really be aggressive in the end, so he can just play straight up macro. Lovely snipe right there on one of those Infestors. The other one is out of energy, using those High Templar with their improvements right there very effectively. Nidus Worm is going to be coming up, though, up north. This is outside of the vision range of herO, but he does see that there is a cheeky little Overseer in that location of the map. Protoss still trying to make a move on over towards the bottom left. Here's the Nidus Worm, though. I don't think there's enough stuff here for Zerg to really do a lot of damage, unless he wants to send in the lurkers. Now, herO has gone around the right side here, and he's going to harass this base from the back. Spine crawlers are coming, and Nidus Worm is setting itself up as well, but that hatchery is going to be long gone. In the meantime, though, the Roaches and Ravagers have unloaded up north, so this is the opposite side of the map. The recall ability is still on cooldown, so he cannot quickly get back across the map, and that's going to allow these Roaches to deal quite a bit of damage. Generally speaking, these are the units that you want to get rid of at this stage in the game. herO is going to try and help him out in that department by sending in a couple of Dark Templar. I don't think they're going to be able to kill the hatch. The Protoss hatch, that is. Now the Overseer is providing vision in the main base too, but herO is all over that as well. Okay, so when people told me that herO was playing straight up StarCraft and really playing macro games as Protoss against the very best players in the world, I wasn't entirely sure what to expect. But I think this is what they were talking about. Very cool to see. So ultimately, by the way, nicely done here by Serral. He's going to be able to snipe this Nexus at the 12 o'clock position. My main question is there enough stuff for Protoss, or for Zerg rather, to defend? We have 9 Corruptors. Alright, we have a couple of Vipers as well. We can recall a bunch of stuff. There's the Time Warp. I mean, there's a lot of Templar still available on the ground. I wonder if herO can just steamroll his way through all of this. He's going full bulldozer mode right now. He doesn't really need to be all too aggressive here. The Roaches and the Lurkers, okay, they've made their way towards the left side. He decides to recall and just play this a little bit safer. But nicely done. So as the dust settles right now, we're talking about 4 base Zerg, with 2 of those bases already running very, very low, going up against effectively 5 base Protoss. Protoss has the superior unit composition. He doesn't quite have the greatest upgrades, I guess, yet, but we have double Cybercore researching, so they're going to be able to get those upgrades pumping real fast. The Corruptor count is still very, very high. Can we get some Storms? I kind of feel like we're missing some Archons. Yeah, so now he's storming his own units. Obviously, Psionic Storm does deal friendly fire, so those Templar are sitting out in the bad weather. I wonder if that was the most optimal way to get it done, herO, but I think he will be able to get enough damage on the board in the end. My god, you know, it's rough when you're storming your own stuff. Brute Lords are being destroyed in the meantime. Another hatchery will fall. Ay, 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 ay. What a play here from herO. Okay. So, another Mama ship is coming up. herO will certainly have his eyes set on another base here soon. It could be the one up here again. It could also be the base in the bottom left. Either that, or he's just gonna... He could also just spend 400 minerals on more army units and just try to go in for the kill. Because he's not expending. No, he's just dropping all of his cash right now on more unit production. So I feel like that means that herO's got the feeling he can just close out the match here very soon. Rather than spending money on... Yeah, there's the Tempest coming up. He's not making another Nexus. That is curious too, by the way. I feel like the safest, best all-around play here, or at least the one that we most commonly see, is Protoss expending behind this. But that is not what herO is doing. He knows that Zerg is contained on the bases that they've got right now. And apparently, I think we're going to try and do another bulldozer attack. We're going to try and just make a big ball of Protoss units and send it across the map. Alright, now there is a Nexus building. But not until herO is effectively maxed out again. So he could have built his Nexus about a minute ago. But he, I think, was a little bit concerned about the amount of resources that Zerg still had available. Because Serral was mining off of about 6 bases there. So he decided to, yeah, pretty much max out again before actually committing to another expansion. And that may very well, again, be the right play. Which is not the one we normally see from Protoss. Okay. Mama? Where are you going? Is she gonna do a mass recall? Well, Serral sees this coming in from a mile away. There's an Immortal, by the way, on the watchtower. My god. Normally it's a Zergling, maybe a Zealot, a Marine or a Reaper or something, but no. We're gonna park our Immortal over there. Clever play, I guess, by herO, because that unit can't die. Oh. Guys, I think I missed it. So, that was an ambitious play. There's like 7 units that come across this mothership as it's trying to sneak its way towards... Yeah, no, I don't know why herO thought that this was safe. Yeah, no, this is the worst sneaky unit in the entire game. She's trying to be so sneaky. I backed up for a second, by the way. Looks like my back button actually... Wait, what? Oh, okay, I actually thought it tried to go around. And that the Corruptors managed to get the kill, but that's not what happened. No, he did decide to go back home. So why is she not joining the main fight? A very safe approach here, by the way. From herO, but I think ultimately his army is just too good. I mean, it would really help if we had the mothership over here, because those abilities are some of the very best. Serral getting an extremely good trade here. He's got Neuroparasite coming. Hold up right now, can Serral still turn this around? Because I actually thought that Serral was dead in the water. But herO is trying to throw the game. I was trying to think of a nicer way to phrase it. I don't see why we're not just putting everything in one big ball and trying to go for one big attack. He's been maxed out for ages, and effectively he's just giving Zerg a lot of time to remax again. I still think his positioning here is phenomenal. The mothership shooting its lasers. It's got a slightly higher damage per second than High Templar. Neural parasites are dangerous here, though. Okay. Ultimately, herO ends up winning the game, but it kind of felt like he was playing with his food for the last 5 minutes or so. Game number 2. We find ourselves on Crimson Court. Fascinating game right there from herO. Makes you wonder why we don't normally see those type of games. There's always these moments, right? Whenever I watch herO games where I can't quite decide if it's a brilliant play or a really dumb one. Like, for example, this. What's this? Why is there a pylon in the wall off? I thought we decided, right, as the StarCraft community collectively back in like 2010, that making a wall off with a pylon in it, right, putting your most important vital structure in the most exposed location, is probably a dumb play, right? And yet herO is consistently doing it again. He's playing little mind games with the opponent. He's like, yo, bro, hey, psst, buddy, make some banelings. Baneling bust me. Oh, you know what? I actually think I saw a highlight reel of this particular game. Is that this one? I think it's this one. Yeah. I'm fairly sure it's this one. We'll find out over the next minute or so. herO decided to go for a really clever build order. Can I spoil what I know? I think that's this particular match, although I'm not entirely sure. There's a game of Protoss versus Zerg where herO decides to go for a very intelligent Tempest Rush. And I think that may very well be what this game is all about. So, here's the thing. Crimson Court is a map that has a very obvious third base location right over here. Then there's a forward third base location, usually favored by Zerg players because of the rich Vespene geyser. But then there's also this third base that is blocked over on the left side for herO with a couple of those skinny mineral fields. And I think what herO wants to do in this match, and again, I haven't seen the game, but I just heard about it. I think what he does is play a mind game on Serral and pretend to go for the expansion right over here on the left. We'll have to find out exactly what he does. So it's once again a Stargate opener. This time around, it's just in the main base. I'm hoping, by the way, that it's actually the game that I have heard of, because otherwise, all of this is irrelevant. But it can be quite difficult. Yeah, Serral decides to go for the forward base. It can be quite difficult for Protoss to play those mind games. But I think basically what herO has done over the last couple of months is he's been really getting in the head of the opponents a lot. Like, he's not necessarily playing the matchup so much, but he's also he's playing the matchup from the opponent's perspective and then playing against what they are thinking he is currently doing, if that makes any sense. So once more, it's a Void Ray first. Void Ray first is a very curious build. I'm sure herO agrees that it's one of the weaker options overall, at least as far as Zerg harassment goes. These rarely get any kills. but it's really good for hiding certain strategies. So keep in mind that in the previous game, he decided to go for a Void Ray first into regular Oracles, and then just went for a good old Blink follow-up. It didn't seem like that strong of a play to me overall, because it just didn't have any harassment, but it worked because Serral was forced to defend against potential attacks, right? He was forced to make units in case the opponent decided to go for like a Glyph to Depth follow-off, or an Immortal Century all-in, or if... Yes! Okay. Alright. So now suddenly the Void Ray first in game number 1 makes a lot more sense too. We have a Fleet Beacon building. Serral has seen an identical opener from Protoss in game number 1, as he now sees in game number 2 as well. Okay. Second Stargate coming up. I think he also showed this probe mining out some of these mineral fields. So normal timing, by the way, for a third Nexus for Protoss is about 345, 350 with a Stargate opener. But the problem here for herO, or for Serral rather, is that he can't get vision of this side of the map, because this is all blocked off with mineral fields and with these skinny... the skinny mineral field and then all of these rocks. So Serral can't actually go and check this left side of the map, because the Void Ray has successfully denied this location several times already. So it killed the Zerglings and it also killed that Overlord. Now there is another OV heading on over in this spot. Serral has not decided to go for OV speed or anything along those lines. So Tempest will be building. This, by the way, is the Tectonic Destabilizers upgrade that allows the Tempest to deal double damage to structures. Usually not researched until the late game. But I think it's still very clever. So this, by the way, is a big tell. Serral is going to see roughly what's going on here in just a second. He will see the timing of this third. And I think that's going to give him all of the intel he truly needs. Seeing a third Nexus not be done at 5.5 minutes, this Overlord should have never been allowed to get here. I actually think this is a gigantic misplay here from herO. He should have had something scouting the top section of the map, or just have the Void Ray patrolling back and forth over here. Kudos, of course, to Serral, who's now indeed seeing what he's actually playing against, and he immediately plants down a Spire. He's also, sending drones on over towards these rich mineral fields up north, and he's opening up an attack path from his side of the map towards the other. This attack right here from herO is on a timer. It takes 5 Tempest or so to one-shot Queens. And Serral is just trying to not lose too much stuff until the Spire gets there. Zerglings, though, are starting to run in. Tempest, way overextended. Hello, oh my god, losing a Tempest to Queens is the last thing you want to have happen here. That is certainly a little sloppy, but it's because, again, that Void Ray is sleeping on the job. Dude, if herO had that Void Ray up on the left side of the map, if he would have seen the Overlord coming in, if he would have been hanging out in that location of the map, he would have prevented all of this. Brilliant stuff right now from Serral, man. He's playing against a build that he very likely hasn't seen before. He's playing on a map that he usually probably has vetoed, because this map is not a Zerg favorite. And he is responding perfectly. No, don't lose another one! Ay, 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 ay. Well then. What was set up as a brilliant opener for herO has also kind of become a bit of a disaster. Yeah, it's like herO went into the hyperbolic time chamber, but he came out too quickly, you know? Like, he's been practicing with double gravity for a long time. But he should have spent another week or so. Okay, so ultimately this is now kind of rough. He decides to go for the Flux Veins upgrade. That is the Void Ray speed improvement. It's nice, I guess. It's good against Corruptors. Maybe he can still... Maybe he can still go in? So, Corruptors are armored units, and the Void Rays deal bonus damage to Corruptors. Man, imagine if we didn't see 8 probes going down and a third Nexus. This would have been so playable for herO. I actually think he would have been very far ahead. He also lost 2 Tempest. Oh, you know what? There's one more moment coming up that I did see, that I did watch. Yeah, that's all in the same game. Okay. I'm picking, I'm starting to piece all of the puzzle things, or the puzzle pieces in my head together now. There's a moment coming up in this particular game that is, I think, the biggest blunder I've ever seen at professional StarCraft 2 this year. Yeah, there is a moment coming up in this particular game, it's gotta be this game, where we will see a gigantic blunder. I will not spoil it this time around. I guess I will spoil it if it actually turns out to be another game, but I'm pretty sure it's this game right over here. Alright. Looks like Serral is making himself up for a bit of an attack. He's got 12 Corruptors flying around. He is a little bit afraid of the Void Ray number. So look at this. We have triple Stargate Void Ray coming up. This is a popular strategy from Bronze League all the way up to herO, apparently. So there's this moment where it's no longer popular. I think specifically in like Master League and Grandmaster League, you will rarely see pro gamers do this. This is the Dunning-Kruger effect all over again. Apparently it's amazing on the lower end of the ladder and at the very top. But this is herO forced to play something that is not really what he originally had intended. Imagine if he didn't lose 2 Tempest and a whole bunch of drones. I think this is the moment right here. Yes, this is the moment right here! Guys, I will back this up because this is such a crazy play over here. Serral aims for he aims for a single shield battery and he gets the entire Skytles ball. So he doesn't actually want to kill. Look at this. He's targeting the shield battery over here with his corrosive biles, and he accidentally biles down, I think, about 7 Void Rays. Yeah. Strategically, brilliant game from herO. Execution-wise, I'm gonna give this bottom tier. That's a bit of a problem when your strategy is S tier and your execution is F tier. I don't think this game could have gone much worse for herO than what we are actually watching here. Very well handled, of course, by Serral, who is not really somebody who needs to be told twice in these kind of scenarios. You know, this game is actually very fun. I would have loved to see this play out if herO, didn't, play like this. El Cyane is next. The current score is 1-1, but it's been a very dynamic series already. So game number 1, straightforward game from herO. He did not feel the need to try and play a tricksy game. Game number 2, he opens up with what pretty much looks like an identical build, but then follows it up with one of the trickiest builds ever. And I think it would have worked if he didn't play, like like, not that I could have done much better, right? But like, losing 2 Tempests, 7 Void Rays to Corrosive Biles, and having a bunch of Zerglings, and an Overlord Scout still find out exactly... That was like a house of cards. Everything started falling apart as soon as herO had the first couple of links run into the 3rd base. Yeah, there was a lot of potential there. I think he had all the... Once again, we're doing pylon on the wall off. Ay. Anyways, there was a lot of potential there with herO. Let's hope we can have a bit of a reset here, because that is also the type of game that can be extremely frustrating. Like when you're playing a best of 5 series. So for the EWC this year, for the very first time, we had a $1 million prize pool. If I'm not mistaken, the winner of this series... let me see. Okay, I don't really know the exact numbers, but for some of the rounds, basically if you manage to make it 1 round deeper into the tournament, you're effectively playing a best of 5 series for like 70 grand. I think it went something, like I think it was like I'm not exactly sure. It was a very significant amount of money is what it comes down to. And sometimes you gotta make sure that you don't think about that all too much, I guess. I mean, I've never been in a position. I mean, I've competed in the smaller cups, right? Maybe a $100 tournament. I wonder at which point you start thinking about such things, right? When you're playing a series of StarCraft 2 and you're like, man, that game was going so well until it didn't. Like, what if I did play it a little bit better? Maybe I would have been 70k deeper into this tournament. Right, first place prize for this event was $400,000. And I didn't mention this in the grand finals video, but apparently there was also an MVP award for, I think, one of the best players who like dropped the fewest maps in total throughout the entire tournament. Something like that, which was also won by Klim. So Klim got, and I kid you not, he got an extra $50,000. What? What? Okay. All right. Yeah, no, sure. So 450k. Pretty nuts. Anyways, we've got ourselves a Stargate opener again from herO. Is that a supply? Or is that a surprise, rather? It's certainly supply. It's gonna be a supply. But will it be a surprise? That's the question. I'm assuming it will be a Void Ray first. Mostly because, yeah, that's what he's been doing every game. That's so funny to me. So, in European Zerg versus Protoss, the very best Protoss player is certainly MaxSpecs. And MaxSpecs relies on the oracles so much. He's the only player in the world that seems to consistently get, like, 10 kills with the oracles. And then we have herO over here playing a completely different style. I wonder if that means that we're also gonna see MaxSpecs mix it up a little bit. Because I actually, like, the few times I've seen Void Rays first, I haven't really liked it all too much. Most commonly, we see Void Ray into Quick Twilight Council into Glyph Adept. And I feel like that's very predictable. But now we have... Yeah, we just have Void Ray going into Oracle again. What is the plan from here, herO? Obviously, if you're Serral now, right? What do you think your opponent is going to go for? So, if you look at Serral's vision, this is what he knows. He has seen a Void Ray. He's seen a normal timing on the third base of the Protoss player. But where do you take this game from here? Do you assume it's going to be Tempest again on the back of this? Do you assume it's a Mothership Rush? Probably not. No, that's one of the builds he probably doesn't. No, there's no way. Does he assume at this point that it could be a Glyph Adept follow-up? Is it going to be Blink Stalker again? Is it going to be triple Oracle? Is it going to be an Immortal Sentry all-in? How do you decide right now as the Zerg player in this position? We do have, once again, a Fleet Beacon here together with a second Stargate. Very important thing to note here is that in the previous game, we had a very similar looking setup, but herO decided to make these two follow-ups before the third Nexus. So this is much later. I wonder if because of that, it's going to be carriers rather than Tempest. That's what the Void Ray is good at. The Void Ray is very good at denying all follow-up scouts. In theory, it can deny everything. This guy is a glorified janitor. He is here to try and destroy the Zerg trash that's all around the map, dude. He's got a big garbage can with him and he's just sweeping up whatever he can. Yeah, it's carriers. It's carriers. So this is 5-minute carriers here from herO. Another build, very popular from Bronze to Diamond League. And then, you know, very unpopular in Master and in Grandmaster. But then apparently when you go to the tippity top of the Protoss Mountain, we're once again doing carrier rushes. Serral's going Hydras. So Serral has no idea, right? So Zerg really lacks vision at this point in the game. There is a way to scout everything. And I wonder if Void Ray openers are going to become the norm. Because obviously every Protoss player under the sun is looking at these games. Everybody that's good at the game anyways. They will all be studying these herO games. I wonder if Overlord Speed is going to be one of the quick upgrades we will see from Zerg players once more. It used to be popular back in the day. Nowadays, not so much. So, what does Serral actually have? So look at this, right? Serral's got about 40-something Zerglings, and he's got a Roach Warren. Now imagine if this was a Glaive the Depth opener. Glaive the Depths absolutely destroy Zerglings. I don't like this. Don't show it. No. herO, don't show the carriers, mate. Why are we... Okay, well, luckily for him, it wasn't seen. Why do we not... No. Why... You have joined the janitor crew? I really dislike this move. I feel like there is no advantage in showing these carriers right now, whereas there's a very good advantage to saving up a bunch. So now is when Serral finds out. He could have waited. He's got 4 carriers now. That's so much better than... Maybe these 2 can get something done? No, we're just gonna send them back again. Ah! I feel like herO is cooking up some brilliant stuff, and then he's kind of... This is herO, by the way, army hotkeying. herO is the only player at the top level that constantly uses the army hotkey and then has to go back to his other units to sort them out again. It's a bit weird. Every other pro gamer out there is continuously hotkeying their units, but herO usually just has 2 random control groups with different units he's been controlling, and then he's using the army hotkey a lot, and then he has to go back to units that were already out on the map to reset their orders. It's a bit funky. I don't know why he does it like that. He's obviously very good at it, but it still seems very suboptimal. So anyways, this is now giving Serral a lot of time. And what does Serral do? He is not going into... No, he is not going into Aspire. He's going into Hydras together with Infestors. Does that mean Microbial Shroud? For those of you that like watching my stream, I stream pretty much every day. Once upon a time, I was trying to counter Skytos playing Ultra, Hydra, Infestor. And it works wonderfully well as long as the opponent doesn't have Immortals. So Ultras actually mess up everything that Protoss has on the ground, other than Immortals. And Hydras with Microbial Shroud on top of them, the Infestor ability, actually really mess up Skytos. The main problem is the High Templar, and the Ultras are going to be amazing against the High Templar, as long as there's no Immortals. So, it's curious to see Serral playing this, because it's not considered very good at a high level. There's the Microbial Shrouds. So in case you don't watch a ton of StarCraft 2, this purple cloud... Purple? What? What, Lowko? Alright, fine. We'll run with it. This purple. That cloud... I know colors. It reduces damage coming in from air sources by 50%. So it replaced the Infested Terran ability, which was incredibly good. Like, Infested Terrans were one of the very best abilities in the game, and then it got replaced with the Microbial Shroud, which is the worst ability in the game, actually. I don't think it's... Anyways, curious play here from Serral. The main problem with Microbial Shroud is, in theory, it's really good. The main problem is that it's also a gigantic sign for the High Templar to storm here, right? Just cover the cloud with storm, because that's where the vulnerable Zerg units are going to be sitting. Maybe if Microbial Shroud stuck to units or something, it would actually be really good. Lovely little Zed counter attack over here on the left side of the map. This is an Ultralisk that doesn't yet have chitinous plating, so he's actually quite vulnerable. The upgrade, though, is going to be coming up momentarily. Neural Parasites coming up for Serral, too. So Serral, again, he's doing his military service right now. He's got some time off the military to... Oh, you know what I just realized? This is a bit of a mess. I actually mentioned in the first game of this series that I wasn't going to spoil the Grand Finals, and then I just now spoiled the Grand Finals at the beginning of this one, of this game. Nice. Good guy, Lowko. If you like this absolute train wreck of a cast, hit the like button. Thank you very much. You guys should know, actually, the amount of videos that I have not uploaded because I made stupid mistakes like that is probably in the dozens. And then I realized, you know what? People actually really love blooper reels. Basically my entire My entire channel is blooper reels, man. I used to redo a lot of stuff, or I would like just not upload a video because okay. Well done, Lowko. Well done. It is curious, though, to see Serral playing this style. Like, all jokes aside, this is not the norm for late-game Zerg. As like a Skytles counter, Hydras, Infestors, Queens, and Ultras are a really weird composition. Now, what is kind of cool is that herO wants to play Skytles, but this is actually like a Groundtles army with 6 carriers in it, if that makes any sense. Because he is forced to counter the Ultralisks. The Ultralisks require him to... Maybe you could make Void Rays or something, but I don't think that's a very optimal play. The Void Rays, the Ultras rather, they... Ooh, beautiful fungal. They require Protoss right now to make a transition towards Immortals. And obviously Immortals are very supply heavy. And if you have Immortals, you may as well make a Colossus. Maybe that's what the Hydra Lurker... Or the Hydra Ultra Infestor comp is good at. Tempest coming up right now too. I guess they can be quite handy. So one thing Ultras are amazing at is killing bases. Most Zerg units are like, there's photon cannons, I'm scared. Right? That's I think the voice they have as well. In my mind, that's how the Hydra sounds. Very ambitious burrow. You guys are revealed though, so. Anyways, Ultras don't care. Ultras with their full armor, they absolutely mess up any static defense. So it's quite a clever little play. Like, generally speaking, it's kind of funny whenever you think about Ultralisks. Their most common use in 2024 is for Ultras to be used against Skytles. Which, if you would have told me that in 2010, I would have giggled. Because that doesn't make any sense. Like, Ultras don't shoot up. But most commonly, they get used against Skytles these days, and they're actually very good. Zerg doesn't need to use 200 supply worth of Zerg army in order to, shut down all of the pushes, especially with a bunch of Spore Crawlers and stuff. Zergs really don't need that much supply to keep the Protoss Skytles army at bay, so you can use a lot of the Ultralists for counterattacking instead. Yep, Immortals are coming. We will see a second Spire here eventually. herO, by the way, constantly out on the map. He's also mixed in some Disruptors right now, which I really like. That's, by the way, a Colossus without its ranged upgrade, so no extended thermal lens. Which was my nickname in college, by the way. Anyways, none for the Colossus here. Maybe it was a misclick. I think he maybe meant to make a Disruptor, but he figured he may as well just... Maybe try and make it... Yeah, I guess if there's a lot of Zerglings... Yeah, I guess if there's a lot of Zerglings, the Archons are really good against it. Storm is obviously really good, but I don't think we would... Yeah, with one Colossus, this guy is ready to roast some Lings if he needs to. Okay, let's see. Serral's setting up for what seems to be a bit of a surround. Big fungal growth already coming in. Ooh, Corruptors, though, very exposed. Flying over all of those Archons. There's the Parasitic Bomb, there's the fungal growth, and there is what we call the Lowko maneuver. Queens are trying to get a lot of damage done as well, and it looks like, ultimately, this Protoss army is getting wiped off the map. Extremely expensive set of losses here. Whew, nicely done by Serral. That was one hell of a fight. Look at that. Wow. So the cost efficiency here from Zerg is substantially better than that of the Protoss. That's actually kind of nuts. The fact that Zerg managed to trade that well is uncommon. It's especially funny thinking back of the Serral versus Clem series. Where I think not a single time Serral managed to get a resource-efficient trade. I think it was like a 2-to-1 ratio for pretty much the entire series. Well, you know what? Here's the Protoss reinforcements. Interesting to see herO coming in once more with such a quick follow-up attack. Ah, that's so fun. This is herO actually pretending to be the Zerg player in this match. And he's gonna snipe that expansion before Zerg can remax. Can you guys please get recalled? Yes, they will try and go home. And they will arrive back. In the meantime, though, the Zergling counter up north also snatches one of the Immortals. This is a wonderful play, though, by Serral. I really like that herO sniped that base and he came back quickly. But I don't want to fool you here. This is very obviously a massive advantage. Oh my god. For the Zerg player right now. This man has got 7 Stalkers, 3 Immortals, and 12... Okay, 12 High Templar. That's an interesting play. Maybe if High Templar were a little bit more like Ghosts. Sadly for them, they don't really deal any real damage, right? Like, their spells are good, but unlike the Ghosts, they don't really deal any damage like that. Oh, curious little play. No, it's still there. Go back, go back. Yep, attack your own Archon. Use the splash damage to your... This is so stupid. He doesn't have detection anymore. Oh, you were so close, man. herO gave up on it. So what he was doing is parking his own Archon on top of the Zergling and then attack moving on his own Archon to have the splash damage of the other Archon try to kill the Zergling. He was onto something there, but ultimately he figured he should just wait until the photon cannon was done. So you do deal damage to units that are burrowed underneath an Archon. It's just that he didn't know exactly where the Zergling was at and how much HP it had. Could have been a brilliant play. Now that look a little bit silly. Yeah, and this is herO up with his back against the wall. Serral is in a very good position here. He's traded more cost efficiently. He's got a good economy. His upgrades are looking really strong. But he is giving Protoss a lot of time. And that is one of the themes we've seen in high-level StarCraft over the last few months. Zerg players are terrified, dude. They do not want to take any chances. Now, we are going to just roll a bunch of... Actually, scratch that. We're going to walk a bunch of Banelings. Are we going to react at all? Okay, not very. Curious how that reply there from Protoss was that slow. But yeah, we've seen Zerg players in general just being very cautious. They don't really want to engage anywhere, because Protoss has gotten so good at little counter backstabs like this. This is the exact opposite side of the map. herO's like, yo, 4 Stalkers? Lol. And this is going to force Zerg to, well, at the very least, give up on the push up north. herO did lose a couple of the defensive structures, I guess, and he did lose like 7 probes, but that was quite recoverable. I think Serral could be a little bit more aggressive, but I think there have been a lot of games where Zerg players have been burned on attacking too aggressively. So he's just using his main army here to distract the main army of the Protoss, which is then opening up the door for the Zerglings and the Ultras to jump in. Alright, so herO has effectively been reduced to just 4 bases. In the meantime, Serral has got about, I want to say 50% of the map, a little less than that, gooped up in creep. He's got many mineral fields left to mine. He doesn't have a ton of workers and not that big of a bank. And once more, here comes herO. herO's at 159 supply versus a near maxed out Zerg. Cloaking field gets activated. There is an Overseer nearby. Overseer is going to siege up over here, but some wonderful feedbacks. My god, herO! That was such a good fight for him. His army supply was substantially worse than the Zerg, but he somehow still won that engagement. I don't think he should get over-eager, though. He really wants to kill the base. Yeah, I don't disagree with him. He feels like he needs to kill the base. He does get it done. My main problem right now with herO's setup is that he doesn't have a lot of income. So this is not an army that can just straight up win the game, I don't think. Unless he believes in it more than I do. He needs to make another expansion soon. 7 Infestors on the production tab. We have 10 Corruptors and 15 Brute Lords. So 15 Brute Lords absolutely mess up everything on the ground. So as long as there's enough Corruptors up in the air to kill the Tempest and the Void Rays, I think he should be good. The Oracle, by the way, is really lovely. Revelation on the Brute Lords and allowing the Tempest to shoot at their maximum range is a wonderful way to do it. Okay. Lovely fungal growth right there on the Templar. The Brute Lords do expose themselves for a little bit, but ultimately, yeah, the Cloaking Field was not enough to save the Templar. I think that was a good trade once more for Zerg. Look how terrified Serral is, though, playing against this. Yeah, Zerg players are cowering in fear everywhere they go. This man is 50 supply behind. And herO is still sniping multiple bases. I wonder if this, like, overly cautious style from Zerg is gonna burn them at some point. Because this was unnecessarily safe, I think. This is giving herO a chance to get back into the swing of things, and I really don't like his position at this point, but Serral is crossing his T's and dotting his I's like 7 times. Yeah, he just doesn't want to leave the creep. He feels safe on the creep, and he doesn't want to leave it. Well, given enough time, herO is gonna max out once more. I don't think his situation is particularly great. Serral still has only 1 upgrade to go, by the way. But herO's looking at this too. I think he kind of assumed that he was dead. I think Zerg players have been losing a lot of games from positions where they are extremely far ahead. So I don't think they're really taking any risks anymore. I think Zerg late game has been adjusted. Let's call it adjusted. Zerg late game has been adjusted many times in balance patches over the years. I think if this was Zerg in 2018, Serral would be playing quite a bit more aggressively. But yeah, he just doesn't want to take any chances. Which scares me a little bit for him too, though, because this is ultimately giving herO another base to mine right now. But Serral's saying, yo, you can mine all you want. As long as I'm mining more than you, I should win the game in the long run. No cancel on that Nexus, so that's 400 minerals down the drain. Probes are gonna have to run away from the banelings. Burrow's a baneling as well inside of the mineral line. Cute little play. Big fungal growth. There's the cloaking field again, though, by the Mama ship, and the time warp also gets pushed forward. Abduction on the Mama ship is not gonna complete the job. She's hurt, but she's fine. She'll recover. And again, yeah, the Tempest, together with the Oracles, together with the Observers, together with the Storm, they're just getting a lot of value. Serral's still with an advantage as far as the resources lost goes, but percentage-wise, the last few minutes have been going much better for herO. 12 kills, by the way, on the mothership itself. Interesting. Usually not used for actual damage, but... Lings and Banes up north, ready to kill non-existent probes. Oh, this is awkward. Alright, yeah, there you go, there you go. Yeah, this is Serral just being extremely safe. Fun fact, actually, about this series, Serral was also wearing a full hazmat suit. 7 respirators all over his body. He could barely see his monitor, but he is playing this as safely as possible, man. Not taking any chances, completely bunkered in, external oxygen. Just making sure that he is not taking any chances. And I was thinking, Serral, this seems a little unnecessarily safe. Ah, she died. That was a surprise. Yeah, we saw herO play with his food in game number 1, but obviously that was also partially due to the fact that Serral didn't really want to take any chances. And I think he's doing the same thing over here too. Keep in mind though, as I already mentioned, this is the biggest prize pool as far as StarCraft 2 tournaments go that we've ever had in 14 years of competition. So even though it may, like, I'm joking around a little bit, right? And it may seem like the players are overly cautious, but this is not a ladder game. This is not your typical $200 tournament. There's so much money on the line here that taking it super safe may just be the best play. I mean, herO is really making the best, though, of a very bad situation. The constant neural parasites, microbial shrouds, my god. Serral is trying to get some work done. The Corruptors have a hard time coming in, but this Archon is killing four Tempest already. The Storms are getting so much work in as well. I just don't think herO has enough units. Nah, he just doesn't have the numbers. My god, though, herO really making the best of a very bad situation. Serral still has 5,000 resources in the bank, and he's... Oh my god, a 14 Ultralisk Remax. Okay. Well, we are done being cautious. 15 Ultras coming up. Ah, just like the game number 1, man. We had a bit of an anticlimactic GG. I was ready to see the big chompers. Well, chomp their way through everything. Next up, we find ourselves on Amphion. A very cautious Serral going up against a bit of a madman. Let's see what herO does this time around. I would imagine we're once again going to see a Void Ray opener into something else. I'm assuming that's the best play. Rather than relying on the Oracles and the Adepts to deal a certain amount of damage and to be in a situation where like, I've killed 4 drones, I'm kind of behind, or I've killed 12, I'm kind of ahead. It seems that going for the Void Ray first allows you so much variety on the back of it that Zerg has to be prepared against practically everything. I would really like to see Serral adjust though. It'd be cool if Serral decided to go for like an Overlord speed opener just to shut that sort of thing down right from the very start. But then again, I guess if it's like straight Glaive Adept, for example, like a straight 2-base timing attack from Protoss, if he decides to go into the Overlord speed upgrade, he's now wasted a lot of resources into something that's not going to help him out with the base defense. Because against an opener like that, he doesn't need to have Overlord speed. So it's a bit of a coin flip. Maybe you can start up the Overlord speed as soon as you see that it's a Void Ray? I'm not exactly sure. It'll require a little bit of experimentation, and I can imagine when you're in a tournament like this, it's probably the worst time to be experimenting. Serral was playing well overall, by the way. Like, there were some people that were saying, oh my god, Serral's in the military, he's just not playing, you know, as good as we expect him to. And there were some mistakes. But I don't think you can really say that Serral was playing poorly or whatever. He was playing some good StarCraft. He's opening up Gasless, by the way. Huh, what is he cooking up here? He is not going for any gas. This has been scouted by herO. I don't know if that's going to make any adjustments right here for the Protoss player. Looks like Serral wants to go for a quick third hatch on the left side. Obviously, it means he's not going to be able to get Zergling speed very quickly. It also means that he won't be able to go for like a Ravager attack or, I don't know, a Queen drop or anything along those lines. It does mean that he can make a lot of Queens. And I guess Queens are pretty good against everything. Yeah, so we're going to go for Queen number 3 and 4 immediately. And a slightly delayed third hatchery rather on the left. I know numbers. I know numbers almost as well as I know colors. No. Unless it's orange, then I have no idea. I may call it purple. But anyways. Hatchery coming up on the left side, and now finally a gas coming. So 3 minutes into the game is when Serral starts up his first gas. It's once more a Stargate opener, but this is a straight Oracle. So I think this is herO adjusting, yes. herO has looked at this opener from Serral. He had a probe inside of the main base. He saw the lack of gas, and he decided to now go straight Oracle rather than Void Ray first, together with a proxy pylon on the other side of the map. Is he going to go for a third base at all, or are we going to just rely on the... No, we're going to rely on the proxy pylon. He's got a probe over here at the third base, but he doesn't currently have the resources for it. And I'm not sold that he will actually go for any of those structures over there. This is a very ambitious little Oracle. I don't love that, but... Okay, he does go for the third, but this third is now at the 4-minute mark, so a 15-second delay. Serral hasn't seen it, but he did see that there was no Nexus yet at about 358. So he knows that something is a little fishy. He decides to go for Spore Crawlers right now. Fair enough. Maybe he's expecting that it could be 2-base Tempest again. Maybe he's expecting that it could be something else. This is a funky opener, though, because, like, imagine if there was any sort of ground attack right now. And there may very well just be a bunch of Stalkers, right, on the other side of the map. He doesn't have link speed. He's gonna have to defend with slow Zerglings and a bunch of Queens. herO's been looking to wrestle in the mud this entire series. Now Serral is meeting him head on. Let's see. He's just droning, though. I find this such an interesting choice. The fact that we've now seen 9 drones coming up, even though Serral hasn't seen anything. How do you determine that you... Now we go Glaives? Dude, this is the latest Glaives. Yeah, sometimes really good StarCraft 2 players make strategies that look like they're pretty bad at the game. Like this... Like, Glaives can be done minutes earlier than this Glaives will be. Bunch of Adepts swoop in, by the way. These are Adepts before Glaives. So Glaives is only a third of the way done. I almost wonder if Serral should have completed the wall and not allowed these guys to stick around. Is he gonna commit? I think he will, yeah. There's not a lot available. Here's the triple Oracle swooping in. So, herO is giving up Adepts before they're about to hit a massive power spike. I think he canceled, yeah. Ay, this is horrible for Serral. Yeah, Serral wanted to be... He wanted to be playing the dirty style himself, right? He wanted to be the tricksy player, but... herO has got a lot more experience in that department. Now, when Protoss loses a bunch of Adepts like that, right? And they just about give up a lot of HP on those units. Do you expect them to go into more Adepts with Resonating Glaives? So this is 40% attack speed for Adepts, something like that. You don't expect more of them. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but here we are. That's an ambitious little play right now. Okay, Serral's gonna wall himself in fully, and that is gonna make it difficult for the Adepts to get in, although with this many Adepts, you might just be able to kill the Evo chamber that's building. Yeah. This is such a wild game. Serral now already re-expanding on the left side of the map too, so I think he's ready to give up on that base. Okay. I think this is a good surround though for the Zerg. Probably best case scenario. Queens with the transfusions as well. Here's the additional Adepts though that just got warped in. Adepts are gonna go towards the left side of the map. Drones were running from the natural expansion. The other Adepts are in the main base. They decide to shade on down towards the low ground as well. You blink twice and all the units are everywhere. A long story short, this is a ton of damage being done by Protoss. It is certainly recoverable though. Serral's been droning actually for quite a while already, so he was making workers while those units were inside of his base. Realizing that it's more about fighting in the right location rather than the amount of units that he needs. Crisis management here has been quite decent by Serral, but I just don't know if he is going to be able to deal with the follow-up attack from herO. Of course, this was a 3-base opener here from herO, even though the third Nexus was late. It was still precisely where it meant to be. A third Nexus is never late. It arrives precisely when it means to. And this is some good gameplay though from herO. I really do like what he's doing in this series. Game number 2 looked a little bit foolish. The execution, that is. The actual strategy was really clever. This execution is looking a significant amount better. So this is, by the way, a big Stalker transition, but he never got blink. Like how many... Oh wait, no, he doesn't blink. I was gonna say, this is so funky. No, there is blink done. I actually did not see it on the production tab there, but he must have been chronoing it out. It would be funky if he decided to skip that altogether. Now we're gonna go for charge as well. So this is Glaives into blink, into charge, and now we finally have a robo facility on the back of this as well. So we're getting all the upgrades in the Twilight Council. Normally you go for 1, maybe 2. Rarely do you go for 3, but here it is. The numbers are just so good in favor of herO. Certainly a bit of an early GG, but the ball was heavily rolling in favor of the Protoss. That means that it all comes down to this. Game number 5 in this best of 5 series. It will take place on site Delta. I have fast forwarded through the first 2 minutes of the game because both players were opening up. Very normal. A quick gas geyser this time around from Serral, not too surprising. He decides to go for link speed. Turns out having additional movement speed on your units is really good. Yeah, I don't think there really was much of an advantage to delaying that link speed in the previous game. It meant that he got the queens out a little bit quicker, which is nice and all. And he was obviously fine against most of the early game aggression here from the Protoss player, but I think ultimately delaying link speed is just a dangerous choice. And it backfired pretty hard. Okay, Void Ray or Oracle? Oracle? Ah. So I have perfect vision of everything that's going on in the games. And I really can't make a lot of sense of herO's decision making. I can only imagine what Serral was thinking about during these games. I think Serral actually prefers playing against Oracle openers rather than the Void Ray stuff. Because the Void Rays are just so unpredictable. Or one Void Ray, rather. The follow-ups are so unpredictable from Protoss. I'm assuming this is going to be triple Oracle? Yep. This is the most conventional way to play Protoss, by the way. Super safe. Super strong across the board. Very quick third nexus, by the way. This is a third nexus before a second gateway. So that is one of the advantages of walling with a pylon. On a map like this, you don't actually need the second gateway to perform the full wall. And it means that you can go for the third nexus about 5 to maybe 7 seconds earlier. It is nice, but also a little bit dangerous. Should be okay though. Serral doesn't really have any units to deal damage. I think against somebody like Serral, it is a clever play. He did manage to snipe the creep tumors. I think it was still building. No resources lost though. Look at this gentleman's agreement so far. Oh, okay. It's all over now, baby. This game could have been settled with diplomacy instead, yet here we are. Imagine that. The players pause the game. They count down. And play a game of rock, paper, scissors for the final win. That would be something. The most hyped game of rock, paper, scissors ever played. That has happened, actually. Brenda! Brenda, that's Karen! Okay, they kissed. They made up. It's fine. Adepts are coming right now as well. They're going to be joining the Oracles. Okay. I don't think this will really achieve all too much. Almost wonder if you should have not gone for the shade there and actually just killed the fourth. I have actually played a bunch of games in the past on the ladder that get decided by rock, paper, scissors. Oh, I didn't actually think he was going to commit here. It is not entirely unheard of in StarCraft 2 when you play a random and you go up against another random player. I've had several situations where at the very beginning of the game, as random, the opponent pauses the game when they are random too and they're like, hey, do you want to settle this with rock, paper, scissors instead? It is one of the dumbest interactions ever, but very fun. So basically, usually the way this goes is like 3, 2, 1, and then you know, post whatever you have, and then the loser of rock, paper, scissors leaves. That's it. It does require a bit of an agreement though. But I will tell you, this has happened to me maybe 4 or 5 times in all these years. It has always been honored. I've never won a round of rock, paper, scissors on the ladder where the player did not honor the agreement. Honorable rock, paper, scissors in StarCraft 2 is a critical component. All right, here's the Hydra then again. +1 coming up. Serral playing Roach Hydra. So this is very safe across the board, but also not really something that generally deals a lot of damage. I think it should be A-okay against practically everything that the Protoss player does. Lovely transfusion. Although this is still a little aggressive. I mean, the Hydras aren't very good without their upgrades. There's the Hive coming up, so I'm assuming we'll see a Lurker Den momentarily. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, a 4th Nexus. All the way at the bottom. +2, +1. And then we've got ourselves also the charge follow-up. There's the Lurker Den. Yep. So, about as stock standard as it can be. How many worker kills are we on right now? 9. 9 really does seem like an okay-ish amount, but I think up until the kills that we just had, it was about 5 or so in total, which usually is an advantage for the Zerg. Let's see, what can we do? I really like the creep denial, though, that herO has been doing overall throughout this series. His stasis wards also have been really nice. It's interesting how we've had all these tricky games. This entire series has been quite complex as far as the strategies go. And then ultimately we go to game number 5 and this is as stock standard as it's usually at, right? Like this is what we see very commonly. So no more playing, no more messing around. This is not a game, all right? This is serious. Oh, well, actually. Storm is going to be the next weapon of choice. Archons are coming up. And Lurkers are on the horizon. So the creep denial has been nice, but the problem is ultimately the Lurkers are here. Is he still going to commit? He could decide to commit here, but it's a dangerous play. There's only 3 Lurkers here. The Queens can keep it alive for a long time. Yeah, I don't think he's going to commit. Storm is going to finish up soon, though. More Lurkers over here, too. Serral's repositioning to make sure that if there is a push over here, he's got a nice little welcoming committee. The Protoss units would have to walk through the corridor surrounded by Lurkers. I don't think it's a great idea. herO is sending everything up north. Can he snipe one of the Lurkers, maybe? Can he snipe the hatchery? He's going to try. I think he can get the hatch. Yep, nicely done. Nicely done. Finally got something for his troubles. In the meantime, though, we did have a Nidus network already built. So there is an Overseer down south. If Protoss decides to get a little bit too adventurous, he might get backstabbed. And in the meantime, herO now decides to go into a second robo facility together with a fleet beacon. A little bit of a Zergling check over here at the bottom of the map. Okay. And ultimately, we're just going to continue macroing up. Who do I favor in the late game? I'm not sure. It's funny I say that, I guess, because it's mostly Zerg who... Like, Serral always wins in the late game. Like, he rarely loses in the late game. But word on the StarCraft street has it that Protoss is very, very good at the highest level in the late game right now. But then again, we haven't really seen Serral playing much of anything. Really. Brenda was excited. Karen over here, also dead. Hatchery at the 12 o'clock position will go down. Lurkers are setting themselves up wherever they can. So there is a hatchery kill on the other side of the map, but then we also have a Nexus kill too. An eye for an eye. Ultimately, we have 4 base versus 4 base. Mama ship, by the way, is building. So this is a opener here where the first... Ooh, this is a good snipe. Serral gets one of the Immortals. Ultimately, this is a push. Does he get another 2? Don't tell me he gets another 2. And a Templar! No way. Oh, that's so good for Serral. Why are you guys not helping your brothers out, man? I know their name is Immortal, but they clearly aren't. Okay, so Serral just got a Templar and 3 Immortals for effectively free. That is really nice for him, because that slows down a ton of the Protoss aggression. The mothership is here. I guess cloaking is actually really good here. Yeah. No, move forward! My god, Mama ship was way too far in the back, man. Those stalkers were told to blink forward, and then the mothership, yeah, it glided towards the natural. In the meantime, though, there is a push over here, too. So herO's got his eyes set on multiple targets. He will be able to clean all of this up eventually, and he does kill the hatchery there as well. But, oh, that entire Protoss army is now finding itself surrounded, and Serral takes a dominating lead. I mean, this is significant, right? Obviously, Larry the Swarm Host is coming up. Anyways, obviously that was expensive. Serral lost a bunch of his income, but he still has the majority of his workers. And maybe, sure, the hatchery is going to take some time to rebuild, but yeah, he's going to lose income for a minute or so. And then at the same time, he killed pretty much the entirety of the Protoss army. I think that's a trade he will happily make any day of the week. Cybercore is coming up. Cybercore 2.0, that is. Which is going to allow herO to transition towards double upgrades. Which is something he can afford right now, but he needs to be careful. I feel like going for a second Cybercore at this point is a very confident play in saying like, hey, I will be able to make another Nexus soon. Because he doesn't actually have that much income at this point. If he's spending all of his money on upgrades at this point and in structures that aren't too useful, he could find himself without any resources in the bank really soon. Larry the Swarm Host accidentally made Serral fat-fingered one of his hotkeys and accidentally made a Swarm Host. It also got utilized, because of course. Must be nice having a lot of APM. Always cracks me up though whenever we see that. I feel like I'm so limited, and I'm not necessarily a super slow player. But then you see the pro gamers and they still find APM to do useless things, like sending in 2 Locust. They weren't gonna do anything. Okay. Lurkers up north, trying to get some damage done. Lurkers down south, also sniping this. And the reason for all of it is because herO is going straight through the center of the map. Luckily, Serral has that Nidus Worm. He can use it offensively, sure, but he can also use it to very quickly bring his troops back home. It's not the entire army. Nope, he still has lurkers over here at the bottom now of the opponent's natural expansion. The third hatchery does end up going down. An Immortal, trying to live up to its username, immediately dies. Little funky. Recall being used over here. Serral's gonna run away. In the meantime, he's also still attacking down south. He lost a hatchery, sure, but he got 2 Nexi in response. Oh! That was so sick, actually. herO caught a lot of those units on the retreating path and sniped the worm. Meaning that Serral just lost like, what, 10 or so lurkers for basically free. I mean, they did snipe this and did deal some damage over there, but Serral could not get them back into the worm in time. So that actually makes life much more manageable right now for herO. He needs to make sure he gets his economy going again soon. But I think this might be a golden opportunity for him to go for an attack. +3/+3 coming up for Serral. Zergling run by, setting up towards the right side of the map. This is completely unprotected. These are Zerglings with +2 and adrenal glands, so they deal a lot of damage. It looks like Serral has remade quite a few of his troops at home in the meantime, and there is some static defense over here too. This Zergling run by is absolutely killer though. If he can kill the Nexus, I wonder if that's going to kill the chances for herO in this game. Serral trying to buy time. Some good storms here, though, by the Protoss, and it looks like the Nexus will live for now. It's an awkward engagement here, but the Zealots will ultimately clean it up. Okay. Corruptor's a little bit far ahead of the rest of the pack. Storms deal some damage, Archons deal some damage. Some of them did manage to get transfused. Serral rebuilt the hatchery over here. He's now trying to reposition some of those lurkers. Another Nexus is building over here, but Serral snatches that one immediately to run some lings over in that direction. 16 minutes into the game now. That means that herO is gonna start running low on his third. So this was a third base that he made at about 340. That base is pretty much empty. Main base and natural are obviously already pretty much empty too. The bases that are being attacked here from Serral are much fresher, but he's got a full mineral line over here on the left that is completely unharvested. Now this base over here is critical. This is herO's lifeline. He cannot afford really losing anything. Serral thought, I guess, that there were some zealots being warped in, but the Templar instead were the weapon of choice. Recall has been used, and herO is actually crawling his way out of this hole that he was in, though. Very impressive crisis management by the Protoss player. I kind of felt like this was one of those situations where, I mean, we saw like 2 engagements where Protoss lost 2 bases and Zerg lost 1. Last time I checked, that should be massively in favor of the Zerg. But herO is doing some wonderful maneuvering around the map, making this look a whole lot better. Now, these lurkers over here are good, but they're gonna have to run away. This time around, there's nothing cutting them off from the Nidus Worm, so they will be able to retreat. Creep tumors, by the way, at the bottom of the map. This is from the Nidus Worm that was once over here. Serral is gonna start scouting using the creep tumors, and you know what? We may as well put up a worm over in this spot. Okay. Ultimately, though, even though herO has not been mining as much as the Zerg overall, he's still finding himself in a maxed out situation with about as many resources in the bank, even a slight advantage in that department. Yeah, Serral actually with some nice cost efficiency here too. I say that, maybe he hasn't actually had that many workers. I haven't really seen Serral go deep into the worker counts this entire series long, actually. Only currently at 64. It's a difficult game to read. I can imagine for these 2 players, it's, especially since obviously they can't see the opposing player's resource counts, it's very difficult to actually know exactly what's going on. herO's pretending like he wants to expend over here, and he does. Oh, he double expends? herO, what? You double expend right now? That actually is kind of extreme. There's no way you can get away with 2 bases. Right? Well, maybe. Serral has decided to go for a neural parasite transition. There's the Stargates coming up too. herO is investing into mass infrastructure right now. I'm a little afraid that he's gonna have to cancel one of those bases, but I guess that's still fine. Rarely do we see Protoss players double expend at this point in the game. Maybe it's kind of like Zerg players, you know, making their macro hatch on 5th base locations instead. So when one of their bases dies, they can still just easily make another spot work. So yeah, indeed, this location will have to be given up on. And this may very well make Serral think that, okay, I've got Protoss contained, but then there's another Nexus that is just about to finish up on the other side of the map. Does he know about it? No. So Serral has a burrowed Ling in the far top right. He's got burrowed units all over the map, but he has no clue about this expansion. And this may very well be herO's... Well, I was gonna call it a comeback, but I honestly don't know if it is. This is a great army for him, and he's maneuvered his way into this position really nice. Now, this is risky, though. Cloaking Field gets activated on the mothership, and that fungal growth is gonna reveal the units underneath once more. The Brute Lords here are wonderful. Serral, though, so cautious, my god. He's putting the hazmat suit back on, man. He does not want to be tricked. I feel like those units were dead. I would have chased that down 100%. Serral apparently no. He decides to retreat back to the safety of the Queens and the static defense. Lurkers in the meantime in the top right-hand corner. 1 lurker. That is all we're gonna spare on this base. 1 lurker. Okay. A very Tempest-heavy approach too, by the way, from herO. So his army is mostly this Archon Immortal, and then Storm together with Tempest. Not really focusing much on carriers at all. Although we did see a carrier rush as well on Alcyone. Lurkers at the bottom of the map. This is the base, though, that's practically mined out. A Dark Shrine will be coming up. Couple lurkers moving on out towards the top right-hand corner. Serral, in the meantime, is gobbling up the entire left side of the map. It's time to transfer some of those drones as well. Yep, he does it immediately. Now herO is going to be moving towards the bottom left. Keep in mind that he can instantly recall his army towards the top right-hand corner too. The Mama ship as well as the Nexus, they don't share a cooldown. So the recall on both of those can be used very quickly after one another. So sniping a base over here, then recalling up north would be a really good play. He snipes a bunch of the lurkers. Lovely work here by herO. Great play. herO doesn't know yet about... No, he has seen this base. Wow, he actually decides to go for this one over here. Probably anticipating the play. Okay, here we have some neural parasites going down, though, and you cannot recall units when they are being neuraled. Serral is using the Protoss' army against the Protoss. That is a big play. Oh, yeah. Also a critical play, by the way. In the meantime, there is the Protoss army over here. I thought it was ready to recall the rest of it towards this location, and maybe that was the original plan, but it's still carving a path around the creep. This lurker now has 30 confirmed kills, as it killed, I think, about 20 probes, all by itself over here on that base. There was so much happening around the map, and I think, ultimately, Serral comes out massively ahead here. He's got about 100 and something APM on his opponent, and I think in that sequence we just saw, it is noticeable. herO was juggling a lot of balls. Serral was juggling even more. And that one lurker, by the way, like that was a herO lurker. I think that one must have killed maybe even 25 probes. Just a single one. Serral snuck that one around the map. I think it actually walked around because the Nidus Worm over here got destroyed. So it must have walked around. Huge. These guys were on hot fire as well. Serral purposefully not setting those up to automatically attack, but to hold fire, a move we rarely ever see. Nidus Worm at the bottom. Void Rays coming up. And I feel like whenever Void Rays are on the production tab, the game is becoming very desperate. He does not have a ton of detection over here. So he needs to be very careful that he does not get all of his expensive units neuroparasited once more. Okay. These zealots are set up for a run-by. A very expensive run-by. This expansion over here is very safe. This one over here, certainly vulnerable. But a couple of the lurkers will be moving on over. The main army of the Protoss, though, has been sent over to the top right. herO has smashed his piggy bank. Very few resources remain, but he's close to maxing out. 190 supply right now. Lurkers are once more in the right position, though. We see we see transfuses and feedbacks to try and get rid of that queen energy ASAP. The lurkers here are very nice. Serral doesn't really want to commit the lurkers and the brute lords in the same location necessarily, because they're relatively slow. One drone decides to burrow on the ground. The lurker Nidus counters, though, are absolutely critical. Nicely done. Really, herO? Not a chance, dude. He wants to build a Nexus up here. No way. No way. Okay. Nah, dude. What? He kills the changeling with the probe? Okay, this is overly ambitious. Serral, neural parasite the probe and make a Nexus of your own. Please? That'll be cool. It's not gonna happen, but it would be cool. There's a probe right here. Come on, Serral. Do it for the fans. Do it for the YouTube thumbnail. Alright, fine, I won't. Fine. Big recall. We're moving this entire Protoss army towards the mothership at the bottom of the map. That hatchery will die very quickly. Serral decides to make a run for the Nidus Worm over here to try and save the rest of the army and the drones that were in the bottom left. Lovely movement here once again by herO, who is once again maxed out. This is not over yet. Serral certainly has been playing very well, but I wonder if he's playing overly cautious. I wonder if that is ultimately gonna make it a potential game here for herO to get back into the swing of things. Okay. The Lurkers trying their very best, and they will be able to once more get damage in. Dude, wasn't herO at some point on 3 bases and his opponent was on like 6? Absurdly good movement by herO, man. I feel like if you're a Protoss player, you need to be studying how herO has got to these positions several times. He's doing a very good job. Like right now his army is massive, but in previous situations he made his army look really big, even though he didn't really have that many troops. This hatchery will go down. Serral's making another base over here. He's gonna go for that location where the Nexus was previously built. These two are becoming neighbors. The Tempest can outrange a lot of this relatively easily. The Oracles are still around too, so that can be nice. Serral decides to cancel that base. herO's got 2 Nexi building. Or mining, rather. I mean, even this one still has a lot of resources remaining. Serral killed this Nexus like 7 times, so the 4th base actually still has a lot of cash. Okay. Look at the banks. Serral actually is not looking nearly as healthy as he was a few minutes ago. The one thing, though, that I really, really like here for the Zerg is that Protoss has not really gotten any era upgrades. Like, only +2 attack, and that's it. There are no armor upgrades on any of those Void Rays. And while their damage output will be nice, the Zerg units are going to be quite a bit more tanky. Serral also, by the way, not going for the 3-3. I'm assuming it's on purpose, but it might be a mistake. They're costly upgrades. Oh, fungal! Big fungal, big fungal. They decided to wait until the perfect opportunity. We do see some feedbacks coming up. Parasitic bombs together with a fungal growth. Very scary. At the same time, we have storms going down together with the Tempest's time warp. Okay. Mama ship falls. Serral once more backs up. Okay. I mean, in fights like those, armor upgrades don't really matter much. The fights are so quick. It's easy to overestimate the value of those, but it would still be nice. Drone burrows over here to save itself. Everything matters now. herO's trying to make a move around. Another Mama ship is building. 3 carriers on the production tab. herO has got more money in the bank than Serral right now. Both players are maxed out. I wonder if Serral is being too safe. Like, maybe lose the hazmat suit, you know? Just a respirator, I think, will do. It is dangerous, because it's ultimately allowing herO back into a lot of this. I think Serral's been burned one too many times over the last few months. Zerg late game is not quite what it once used to be. And I wonder if it's forcing him to play more cautiously than he should be. herO now going for the very difficult base. I almost wondered if this should be like a golden mineral line. Same for the base over here on the other side. Serral's going to be taking that one instead. Fungal. Hello. herO, we got a micro, my man. Okay, we're flying our parasitic bomb units in the rest of our Skytools units. That's very dangerous. The High Templar are at the very least controlled pretty decently well, so he got some feedbacks done, but that was not optimal. I think we should get the final upgrades. Serral's thinking the same thing. Dude, whenever pro gamers start up the upgrades right when I'm talking about it, it makes me feel really smart. Thank you, Serral. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for making me look smart. All right, he decides to go into the +3 armor. It's gonna take a while before those upgrades are done. Another fungal growth together with a parasitic bomb. The StarCraft 2 equivalent of a wombo combo. herO's bleeding out too many units. I feel like every single time we see units just scoot around each other, herO loses like 4 units and Serral loses nothing. Couple Void Rays here, a Templar there, an Archon going down. I mean, it's costly. I don't think you really want to be giving away troops like that. Is herO gonna do a late game cannon rush? Is that like, I would please build a photon cannon here. Do it for the fans. Okay, fine. We don't need to. We can let the Zealots clear the job instead. Tempest trying to get some work done. Lurker, by the way, managed to kill Proby is easy peasy. Nexus is about 60% or so of the way done. Hatchery has just finished up, but it's already battered and bruised. +3 air weapons is going to finish up for herO. I think we need to start armor upgrades too for the Skytals, man. When we go carriers, it's a no-brainer. There's just too many flying units to ignore. Serral still has 3 Vipers and 10 Infestors, 9 Queens. Yeah, it's a scary army, man. He can keep all of this Protoss army at bay for ages. He waited until the Nexus was done, so it cannot be cancelled. 400 minerals down the drain. Wonderful play right there by the Zerg. But in the meantime, up north, I was wondering where those Immortals went. The Immortals decided to set their sights as well on the hatch. And apparently they're feeling like they might be able to get more. Serral's setting up a bunch of hold positioned and a hold fired lurkers here. Oracle doesn't have enough vision range, but it does see it is now. I'm assuming the Immortals can fight this pretty easy, but not without neurals. Okay. Alright. I thought we were doing a little mini game between a bunch of lurkers and Immortals, and then Serral decided to ruin it. He's not here to play games. Or, no, actually. There's another base on the way in the far bottom left corner. herO is going to be able to snipe this easy peasy. Dude, this is such a good game. Like, I play a lot of strategy games. I've tried every RTS game under the sun, I feel like. But my god, do none of them have anything on StarCraft 2. Here we go. Mothership moving in. Cloaking Field once again used very aggressively. She is going to get abducted, but it allows her to put a time warp in a perfect location. The Brute Lords have to go away. And in the meantime, that now opens up the opportunity for the Tempest to kill that hatchery. Oh, I'm getting nerd chills, dude. Both players will be forced to use their banks. There's very little money remaining on this map. Every time we see the Brute Lords retreat, 1 or 2 of them end up going down too. The Queens notice it. They decide to go for the transfusion. Big storms going down. Serral can't really move those units away very well. There's not a ton of carriers remaining though. A lot of the interceptors have dropped out of the skies as well. Recall on the carriers to try and keep them around. Tempests are being stutter-stepped around. Carriers do have some of their units once more. There is a neural parasite on the Archons. Brute Lords in the meantime going around the site. Corruptor swooping in. Another abduction there as well to try and secure one more kill. Neural parasite has run out and it's gonna kill the very last Viper. Queens and Brute Lords working together. Corruptors try to swoop in. This is on top of all of the static defense. We already had the battery overcharge being used. Serral trying to see if he can clear up all of these units, and I think he does ultimately have enough Corruptors up in the air, and that is going to kill that final base of the Protoss player. Very little mining remains. Probes are pulled away as well from their mineral lines to try and aid in the battle. We have a bunch of Templars shooting water balloons at the newly acquired hatchery. This is crazy. What in the world? These units deal no damage. Less than workers, by the way. Like, it's just to make sure that they don't all army hotkey wander forward into an opposing player's army. That's the only reason why they have an auto attack in the first place. It's gonna allow, since then the hatchery is now gone, it's gonna allow a Nexus to be built over here again. Sure, Serral may have the better army, but a lot of it is Corruptors and a lot of it is Brute Lords. These units aren't particularly fast, and Corruptors can't really be used particularly well. Lurkers are coming up though. Serral apparently is gonna spend his final money on a bunch of Lurkers. Zerglings here, scout out what's going on. The problem here for Serral is that he does not know how much money there is in the top right-hand corner. He knows that Protoss has been mining this. He knows that he probably is ahead. We obviously have the information for the full supply count, but this is an extremely hard game to read. Oh. Yeah, I think he's done it. Wow, I mean, he's spending his money on additional Archons. He doesn't have a lot of minerals, but Archons are amazing. Long distance mining this base it is. There are still 9 High Templar, by the way. 9 Templar with basically full energy. The herO Corruptor ended up killing one of the units over here. One of the structures. What a game, dude. What a game. Oh. I've seen a lot of different esports over the last couple of weeks. I will always be a StarCraft fanboy. Ay, ay, ay. These players are so good. It's difficult to explain how hard it is what these guys are doing. Like, these players practice day in and day out for more than a decade now. He's on firing! Oh my god, okay. Got another 5 Stalkers or so, just like that. Purposefully not attacking with the Lurkers. Ay, 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 ay. I mean, the army is mostly High Templar. I don't think they can fight Brute Lords. The Brute Lords here are the main problem. He has Storm for days, but the fungal growths here from those Infestors make it impossible for Protoss to really move in. Yeah, the Archons are great, the Storms are great, the Stalkers are good, but he can't reach the Brutes. I think this seals the deal. herO still has some money in the bank, though. He might be able to warp in another 20 Stalkers here if he's given enough time. He's long distance mining the far bottom of the map again. This is an expansion. He took it like minute 6. He smashed his piggy bank, went for a mothership again. I really am liking this matchup, man. Ay, ay, ay. PvZ is so good. Fungal! Big fungal. Big fungal. Here come the Brute Lords again. They may be slow, but they're fast enough. GG, well played. It is rarely seen at the highest level, but I think it is indeed a very reasonable thing to say after this best of 5 series. My god. I literally have goosebumps on my legs right now. It was so sick.